spoke about this thing 3 or 4 days ago. The NDC held a presser, and it was addressed by you, Sammy. What are your issues?
Look, thank you very much. Since this matter broke, I have been very silent on it because it's an issue that is a bit technical, and I wanted to apprise myself of all the relevant facts before coming to any conclusions on the matter. But when a scandal like this comes out, you need to hear all sides. I watched the documentary which was put together by the Fourth Estate with the support of ASEP. And for a long time, I had not gotten the detailed accounts or counter-narrative of the SML. I saw a few statements they issued on the matter, but last Saturday I had an opportunity to watch their public relations officer on Newsfile and listen to a more detailed response from the perspective of the company on the issues that the Fourth Estate had raised. And look, I am totally appalled and disgusted by the damning and chilling details of the scandal. Yes, we know that this Akufo-Addo Bawumia MPP government is and has been the most corrupt in the history of Ghana. We know they have over 100 corruption scandals to their name. And I know many Ghanaians who have become numb to corruption scandals. They talk about corruption scandals under this government because it's been one too many. The scandals are just numerous. Okay. But I am still shocked. I am still disgusted about this particular scandal because of the nature of it. And if you understand the scandal well, you see a lot of people are talking about SML, SML, SML. Look, not many have taken their time to study the facts. Not many appreciate what the real issues are. If you understand it, you'll be angry. If you understand the scandal, you will weep for Ghana. Because it is the biggest rape of the public purse in recent time. No scandal beats this one. And you see, we as a political party, the NDC, decided to wade into the matter because of the recent attempt by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia NPP government to cover up this serious issue. There are clear cover-up attempts or efforts being made by the government. And as a responsible opposition, we are duty-bound to speak, and that is why we spoke. You see, and the reason why those watching must pay attention, those who can speak must speak up, is that we are talking about billions of Ghana cedis gone down the drain. At a time when our nation is faced with economic bankruptcy, our country is faced with an economic mess which is affecting all of us. The SML scandal is just unacceptable. Now, what are the facts? So you know that the NPP won the 2016 election, and by virtue of that, President Akufo-Addo and his vice Alhaji Bawumia were sworn into office on the 7th of January 2017. 7 January 2017. Then a new company was formed immediately after, 37 days after. A new company was formed called Strategic Mobilization Ghana Limited, SML. It was incorporated on the 14th of February 2017, Valentine's Day. Look, the stated capital of the company is 10,000 Ghana cedis. The paid up shares of the company is 10,000 Ghana cedis. The company was incorporated by a person, shareholder, okay, who is called Evans Edusei. And before the incorporation of this company, all that this person was known for was timber affairs. Because he runs a company called Evans Timbers. So he is into timbers. Then his party comes into office 37 days after. He goes to register a company for trading end auditing. He is not an auditor himself and not a finance person himself. But he goes to register this company. Doc, barely 4 months after that, 4 months, President Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, and the NPP decide to give a very important contract at the port to this 4-month-old baby company called SML. What is that contract? Transaction auditing contract at the port. Which means what? It means that the government says that it doesn't trust that importers are paying the right import duties and fees at the port. And so it needs somebody to assist GRA, a company to assist GRA, check what is being paid at the port to see that the right fees, charges, and duties are being paid. Now bear in mind that before the NDC left office, we had awarded a contract for this same purpose to a company called West Blue. And West Blue was doing this job. Immediately the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government took office, they targeted that job and sought to give that job to this 4-month-old company called SML. This company at the time had no prior experience in auditing or revenue assurance. They had no customer. Their customer base was zero. They had no clientele. They had done no job before. I've heard their PRO say that, oh, we procured a system from Texas and expertise from here. Look, elementary company law, a company is distinct from the personality of its shareholders. The experience of the directors or workers of a company is not the experience of the company, because the two are distinct. That is right.
It's complementary.
Complementary, but you can't say that it is for the company because
it can't substitute.
Exactly, because the workers can leave at any time. And what happens?
It becomes an added advantage.
An added advantage. So at the time they had no such experience, the government sought to give them this job at the port that I've already explained. And what was the issue is not the fact that they sought to give them a job when they were only 4 months old, doc, but that they sought to give them the job through sole sourcing. You recall that in opposition, the NPP said sole sourcing was tantamount to corruption. Doc, you recall? Mm-hmm. They said anything that has sole sourcing in it was corruption. So when they came into office, they told us that sole sourcing was going to be a thing of the past. They even appointed a minister for procurement. Procurement breaches were deemed as an abomination by the NPP. They've been prosecuting people for procurement breaches, some of whom they have jailed in the NCA case. They removed an EC chairperson on the basis of alleged procurement breaches. And then they come and decide to give this juicy contract, which was already being performed by West Blue, to a 4-month-old company on sole sourcing basis. Between June 2017 and September 2017, according to the president, 3 separate requests for sole sourcing to engage SML on sole sourcing basis were made to the PPA, and all of that were flatly refused by the PPA. Because sole sourcing is governed by law, Section 40 of the Public Procurement Act 2003, Axis 3. You can only sole source a contract to a company where the company has exclusive expertise, or where there is a crisis, or where a transaction is of an urgent nature. None of these conditions existed in the case of government's attempt to engage SML. So all the requests were refused, rightly so. Then, Doc, this government, hell-bent on achieving whatever sinister agenda they had, decided to defy the PPA. That you won't give us approval to engage SML on sole sourcing, fine. Through the back door, we will engage them. So what did they do? They now engage SML as a subcontractor of West Blue. They impose this 4-month-old company on West Blue as their subcontractors. But because that is a government work, a public service that West Blue was engaging for the government, that agreements which engage SML as a subcontractor to West Blue should have gone through the procurement process. No, it didn't go through. That was when the criminality, the illegalities, that is when it started. According to the president, all these facts are contained in the statement issued by the president. And look, in addition to that, the GRA adds another layer to the task of SML, which is external price verification. What does that mean? Sometimes we confuse people with the jargon, so I like to break them down. What it means is that when you bring your goods into the country, the import duty you pay is determined based on the price you bought that item outside the country. And so because of that, a lot of people lie about the price they buy those imported items so that they can pay lower import duty. So they needed a company which could deploy a system of verifying the external prices importers give for their items they bring into the country. And they gave this contract to this same SML. Then in December 2018, West Blue is kicked out. Their contract ends under bizarre conditions. It is not extended. And this SML is asked to now take over the work of West Blue at the ports as the main contractor. And this doesn't also go through the procurement process. Look, in addition to that, the Kufuor Bawumia government says that players in the downstream petroleum sector, the OMCs who sell fuel at the fuel stations, the BDCs who bring fuel from outside the country into the country, they suspect that they are not paying correct taxes to GRA. So they want a company that can deploy a system to check that. That's what we call the downstream petroleum audit services. So they award this new contract to the same SML. Here again, they don't go through any procurement process. Not even sole sourcing. They didn't go through any procurement process at all. They don't present this to the GRA board, who by law, and I know you are a stickler for corporate best practices in corporate governance, the GRA board doesn't even get the opportunity to discuss and approve the transaction. And without the board approving it, the GRA Act says GRA cannot enter into such a contract. So they breach the GRA Act. They breach the Public Procurement Act. And then, because it's a multi-year agreement, it's an agreement that...
In the NCA case, one of the key things that they relied on was that it was a subcommittee of the board
that gave the approval. And not the board itself. This one, no board discussion or approval. Then, no PPA approval. Then, no parliamentary approval. You know, Section 33 of the Public Financial Management Act, which is our accounting law, which governs the utilization of public finances, says that when any state agency is engaging, it says any covered entity, including state agencies like GRA, if they are engaging any contractor, signing any contract, which goes beyond a year, Parliament must consider that agreement and approve it. In this case, all these agreements, whether it's a transaction audit agreement, the external price verification transaction, or the downstream petroleum audit transaction, none was presented to Parliament for approval. So, one transaction violating 3 different laws of Ghana. Then, Doc, after doing all this, what is even sickening is the kind of job they gave SML. So, in the case of the downstream petroleum audit services, they say we don't trust that the OMCs and BDCs are paying the right taxes because there is a gap between the volumes of oil that is declared as having come into the country and the volume of oil for which GRA receives tax for. But they forget that there are certain technical issues that lead to reduction in volume. So you can never have the volume of oil that comes into the country being equal to the taxes that are paid to GRA on them because of evaporation, because of leakages, spillage, stealing of the oil. You understand? And other practices that can lead to losses.
In fact, there are some that are bound for other countries.
Bound for other countries and so on. They come and then it is exported to another country and so on. However, genuinely, there are incidents where OMCs sell the fuel or BDC sell the fuel and they fail to pay the necessary taxes to governments. Now, the NPA, which is the regulator for that sector, know that this is a challenge. And they have already deployed systems to deal with this challenge. A system called Enterprises Relational Data Management System, ERDMS. I didn't say it. The man who said, Wallahi, we need to rescue Ghana, he said it, Mustafa Hamid. And he is the head of NPA, Akufo-Addo's darling boy. He says that this job you have given to SML, NPA, a state regulator, is already doing it, and that it is not necessary. And they have even engaged the services of private companies to assist them. One is called ACES, one is called Rock Africa, who are already doing that, and that is beginning to yield results. And so, currently, it is not possible for you to load fuel from any depot and offload it at any retail center without going through the ERDMS system, which is linked to the ICOM system at the ports. So the work was not only illegal, but superfluous and duplicitous, totally irrelevant and useless. And yet, and to show that it is duplicitous and useless, no value for money assessment was done before the award of any of these contracts. No needs assessment was done according to the presidency. They awarded it. And I was shocked to find the amount of money that has been paid to this company. According to the presidency, 1 billion Ghana cedis and over. We are talking about over 10 trillion old Ghana cedis paid to a company for what we can't quantify, for work that no value for money audit has been done in relation to, no needs assessment has been done in relation to, and paid under illegal contracts. That is the key thing for me as a lawyer. Because the Supreme Court has had the occasion times without number to pronounce on this matter, that the state cannot make valid payments under illegal contracts. They said so in the Isophoton case, in the Waterville case, in the Woyome cases. It wasn't because those companies provided no service of value to the state, but because those agreements were awarded in contravention of law, our court said no way, no valid payments can be made. Now the president concedes that all these laws, Procurement Law, GRA Act, Public Financial Management Act, have been brazenly, disregarded with impunity, rendering the agreements illegal. Then they tell us that, but a new administration came at GRA and decided to ratify the agreements. Look, I've studied the procurement law very well. The only provision that talks about possible ratification is Section 90, which is based on Section 89. And here I'm talking about the amendment to the procurement law. And to ratify an agreement, it doesn't happen in the manner they claim this one happened. It has to be the PPA conducting an investigation. The law stipulates how the investigation must be done. And on the basis of an investigation, ratifying a wrong that has been performed under the law. In this case, no such investigation has gone on. Section 89 and Section 90 of the Public Procurement Law has not been adhered to. And therefore, any purported ratification is unlawful. It cannot right that illegality that took place in 2018 and 2019 in relative to the award of those 3 illegal contracts. But assuming without admitting that they could ratify that, can you ratify the breach of no parliamentary approval? Has that one to be ratified? No. And the lack of parliamentary approval is great. It goes to the foundation of the contracts. Then you pay 1 billion over 10 trillion to this company. And the president says that, look, as for the transaction audit service, Ghana, they say that the company performed it partially in capital letters. Not fully, partially. External verification, price verification, partial performance. And that the state derived only limited benefits. We didn't get the full benefits of the payments we made. But that in the downstream sector, we should allow this company that has been a beneficiary of illegal contracts and the payments thereof to continue their downstream petroleum audit services. My goodness, Doc. My goodness. A whole president who is a lawyer, supported by an economist, Vice President Bawumia, saying that a company has engaged in illegalities, criminality. People are in jail for lesser offenses, lesser breaches of law. And you are telling this company that continue to perform your contract so that we can pay you more despite violating the law? What can justify this? What can justify? The only thing that can justify this is that the corruption clearing agent is at it again. He wants to cover up because they are beneficiaries of the loot. I don't think that whatever payments, illegal payments, and I don't, because you see, KPMG says that they asked SML to justify the investments they claim to have made. They claim to have made millions of dollars of investment. And the KPMG says, according to the president's account of the KPMG report, that no supporting document was provided by SML to support their investment. How then do you ask this company, who can't even provide documentation to support their investments, for which reason they are being paid, to continue doing this work? Something that your own agency, NPA, is already doing. And the justification is that, Doc, I don't know whether you've listened to them, that, our petroleum volumes and revenue have gone up in recent times. So it means that SML is doing something right. Then we ask, show us one OMC that who has been convicted for either under declaration or tax fraud on the basis of the work of SML. One. Do you know that since they started this contract, not even one OMC, one player in the oil sector, has been caught or penalized on the basis of SML's work? The GRA says, if you watch that documentary, SML's own IT guru confessed that what they are doing is the same thing the NPA is doing, their own IT guru. In the same documentary, the GRA says that it doesn't use SML's data or work as basis for revenue collection. So, according to the government itself, this is a completely useless, relevant transaction that we are wasting billions of money on. Billions of monies which could have been used for social infrastructure, for job creation, for the creation of prosperity for suffering Ghanaians, going down the drain. When we don't even have oxygen machines and what? MRI machines, X-ray machines in key hospitals in this country. And we can waste 1 billion cedis on a contract that offers no value for money that state agencies are saying is completely irrelevant and useless. And to end, Doc, I've looked at the data that Imani has published. The rate of increase in petroleum products, both the volume and also the revenue, before SML's illegal entry in the downstream petroleum sector has been the same as after they entered.
You mean the historical?
The historical trend. And you see, the fact that volumes are going up and revenue is going up doesn't mean SML is doing anything. This is common sense. Because, Doc, petrol prices have not remained static.
I mean, typical example, just look at tax revenue. Mm-hmm. Just do it from 2016 till date. You will see
the increasing trend. Because new taxes have been introduced.
It's just like saying that in the year 2016, we collected revenue of, let's say, 47 billion.
Yes.
And so we've brought in a company. We moved to 68 billion.
So it means
they were responsible for that.
Without telling us.
Pay them for the difference.
Yes.
Then
and they are paid a commission on the entire difference.
Yes. And then the revenue moves from 68 to 100.
Then they are paid a commission on that difference.
Yes.
When there are natural factors.
So for this year,
responsible
this
for
year that we are expecting to hit our 150, 160 billion.
Because look, you have imposed a new energy sector levy on the price build-up of fuel, boiler tax on fuel, and so on. Why won't petroleum revenue go up? Petrol consumption is going up because the economy is growing. The number of people who consume fuel in Ghana keeps going up. So it will go up. New taxes and all that. And in fact, under the period that SML has been doing this work, if you look at the performance of some of the levies on the price build-up of fuel, some have been on the decline. That one, SML is not responsible. But when market forces and government intervention in the form of taxes lead to an increase in revenue, that one is SML. They should get a commission.
And
look, this doesn't make sense.
They have said one is that people sit and decide that we should shift this to the upstream sector and also to the mineral sector. That for every single mineral, they would earn 75 cents.
Every barrel of oil we produce in the upstream sector as a country, 75 cents. Why? Because they are going to monitor some companies there and ensure that they pay the right taxes. Does this make sense? Master, do people still have a conscience in this country? No patriotic Ghanaian, no person with a conscience, nobody who has a modicum of love for this country will support this. And I'm happy with the trend I'm beginning to see. On Newsfile, I didn't see the NPP rep defending this. They allowed SML themselves to defend this, and I'm waiting for the day that I will meet that PRO to defend. She was asked a simple question. Were your contracts...
She's a director, not a PRO.
Director. She was asked, were your contracts approved by Parliament? She said, I'm not a lawyer. Must you be a lawyer to know whether your contracts have been approved by Parliament or not? So I'm beginning to see a very good trend of MPP people saying, Master, speak for yourself. Because I want to see what the communication director will
blackmailing
I want to see.
Richard. Anyway,
we must unite, especially we the young ones. Some of these things, if it cannot happen under John Mahama. But if it happens, we will speak against it. And I expect young people like myself in the NPP to rise up and speak against this. Because they are, and Doc, I just want to conclude by saying, we are not against, Richard, sorry. Yes, I've spoken for long, sorry about that. We are not against revenue assurance. Look, I'm not against the company. If you are doing business and you're doing it legitimately, based on value for money, needs assessment, and your contracts are lawful, and you are being paid, I have no problem with that. But you cannot breach our laws with impunity like we live in a jungle.
But why are we blaming the company?
Why? Because the company...
Do you know why I say this?
No, we can't blame the company alone. President Akufo-Addo, Bawumia, and the NPP takes the chunk of the blame, but the company too cannot exculpate itself from blame because, in law, the company has a duty to ensure that once you are dealing with government,
I have absolutely
state laws